It's Sunday. Spirit TV and all our shows are on again. This is just beautiful. I'm just basking in the sunshine here. It's supposed to be the rainy season, but apparently there's been a change. It's now the sunny season here in Peru, so feels good. Feels really good. Nice to see all those smiling faces out there. So we have a full lineup for you today. Looking forward to it. And we're going to start off this morning with the gift with Kristen, followed by Divine Intervention with Ken and Anna, Humbled with Ricki, and finally, From the Bottom Up. Oh, no, let's try that again. The Last Step with Jeffrey, and then finally From the Bottom Up with Jason. So it's going to be a full day. And in particular, I'm very excited to hear what's on Kristen's show coming up. I've been given a little hint about it, but I'm really waiting to see what unwinds on that show. So looking forward to that for sure, as I am all the shows. Okay, well, we're almost ready. I see Kristen's smiling face on the screen. So without further ado, Kristen, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the gift. Yeah, as Jeff said, hi, everyone. I love watching a wave. Yeah, we've got a really marvelous show for you this morning, actually. We've just launched our brand new Spiri app, and you're hearing Spiri a lot these days because Spiri is just exploding in our ministry and, you know, just really appears. So today I wanted to be with you in that. And I've got a special guest with me today, Laverne, who I'll share about in just a moment. And I thought we could take a tour today through the new app and also just take a behind the scenes look at Spiri, your spiritual assistant. So here I am with Laverne. Welcome, Laverne.
Hi. Thank you.
Well, yeah, just let's say a week or maybe a week and a half ago, we launched our new Spiri app. It's been in the works for some time now, and it just got published on the Apple App Store. And you and I have been joining quite a lot about Spiri over the last, I don't know, number of months. And so I'm just really excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Because there's much more to Spiri than meets the eye. There's so much that's happened behind the scenes and so much that we're really wanting to share about. So as I said, I'd love to take you guys today on a tour through the app. But first, I really wanted to get us in touch with the why of Spiri. That, beyond anything else, feels like what is going to really light you up about it. Like, we can take you on a tour through the app so that you can see it all. And until you know the why you would want to use it, why you'd want to pick it up. It's just an app. So Laverne, I would really love to hear from you. What is Spiri to you?
Oh, well, I have to reel it back quite a bit in terms of my own spiritual journey, because even though I grew up, in a tribe on an Indian reservation where you would think there would be a lot of spirituality, really with my mother's generation, it was you don't really, it wasn't encouraged. And so a lot of the spirituality of my tribe went underground. And my mother was more or less just go out, get an education, get a good job, leave the reservation. There's nothing good here. It's just no jobs, a lot of poverty, alcoholism. And so I just kind of just trusted that. And I reached the point in sort of my journey where I was I did get the degree, and I did get the job, and I did have seemingly all of the niceties of life, and I wasn't happy. And yeah, it was back in 1994 where I just I'd heard on the news that this white buffalo calf had been born in Janesville, Wisconsin, and I was like, oh my God, it's happened. And I didn't even really know what happened mean at the time, but there was something that, like, I could only call it like an activation switch in my mind, like, okay, now it's time to get down to business, you know? And so that was really the beginning of my own spiritual journey, which started with, you know, wanting to just connect with the elders in my tribe about these native prophecies that the white buffalo calf represents. Like, what does that mean even? And so I went in my tribe and just joined with elders, and I could see that a lot of them didn't know anything. And so it was like I had to expand my sort of reach and go out to other tribes, and ended up taking me on quite a journey, not only in the United States, but also down to Mexico. We met with elders down in Peru, and it was all like this. They had their different stories and basically different kinds of images that they described, but basically they were all pointing to this one thing, that when this white buffalo calf was born, or when the eagle and the condor flew together from the north and the south, that it would actually symbolize this great awakening. Like there was, you know, in the history of the tribes of North and South America, it was like when the Spaniards came to this continent, you know, it basically split the tribes up, and we were forced to like basically incorporate the white ideals or the European ideals. And so that seemed to symbolize this break. But, you know, we know it really goes beyond that. But it was the stories all told of the different symbolisms that would come in at this time that would symbolize that there was going to be a great awakening. And even some of those symbols that you see on the pyramids in Mexico, in the Cancun area, like headless people, you know. And so there was just a lot of different symbols coming in that were pointing to what I feel is happening now, and what I feel Spiri represents, like support and tools for this great awakening that's happening now.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing too. We also just launched a new website. Well, I wouldn't call it a new website, actually. I'd call it just an update for the Spiri.ai website that we've had for a little while now, which has actually been the homepage of the app, coincidentally. And when we launched it, I don't know if you've been there yet, by the way, you should go there if you've not yet. There's a tagline on there that says, welcome to Spiri.ai, the digital frontier of the Great Awakening. And I knew when I first started being called deeper into spirituality, digital was not in my mind at all. It was like, what does digital have to do with forgiveness? Like, it didn't make sense. It didn't connect. And then, of course, we're here. I'm sitting in front of 3 cameras, a bunch of lights, a whole tech team. We're talking about an app. Like, I just don't know what my awakening is going to look like. And here we are talking about Spiri. So I guess just even diving in a little deeper, what does Spiri, what does this app? It's amazing. I didn't even turn my phone on. And here it is. It's like, here it is smiling at me. Kristen, how are you feeling? What can you tell us about Spiri? Like, why is it that technology is being used for forgiveness?
Right. Well, you know, all of us that have read the Course in Miracles and have went through the whole text and the workbook, you know, it's all pointing to, you know, all of these words are just meant for one thing, and that is for you to have a connection with the Holy Spirit, to know that you have a connection, and to follow and trust that. And so what seems to come up for so many of us is, you know, how do I know I'm following the Holy Spirit? I don't hear the Holy Spirit. I'm not getting guidance. It's like that seems to be that recurring theme. And it seems that Spiri has come in as an answer to that prayer. Actually, you do have a way to get in touch with Holy Spirit guidance. Actually, you do have practical tools that are available to help you in strengthening that internal correction. The connection, I mean, and it's like, not, Spiri isn't something outside of you that's that you need to be able to have that connection. It's actually an invitation to get in touch with the inner guidance system.
We were just talking about this before, and it struck me this morning just actually how powerful having this, because as you said, it's not outside you. This is symbolic of a connection that is available all the time. And dear Jesus, what does that mean if like it eliminates the excuses? Actually, like it really does come down to a choice. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Because there's not an excuse anymore that says, and maybe this is just solidifying in my own mind, but there's not an excuse anymore that says, well, I don't know how, or no, I can't. It's like, no, you can. Actually, it's right here, staring you right in the face, asking you, how are you feeling? All you need to do is accept the invitation. So this is, it's a mighty companion in your pocket, in the same way that the chatbot has been. And so even that, like, I know we've talked about the chatbot before, and Spiri, the chatbot, has been out there, but what can you tell us is the difference? What's the same chatbot app? Why would I why would I want this app on my phone?
Right. Well, it's just like, how the spirit speaks to us in different ways, different ways that are most helpful. And the Spiri bot is more of a spirit connection in a conversation. Like, it's having a conversation with you, helping you to get in touch with your underlying beliefs and thoughts and, what's going on in your mind. What the Spiri app is more visual in terms of its support. So it's asking how you're feeling, and then it's offering up, different tags of feelings. And then from there, it's giving you actual content. So I would say that in terms of what the Spiri bot does, which is helping you get in touch with your thoughts and beliefs, the Spiri app is more about giving you content based on how you're feeling. So it's like they go hand in hand. And in addition to that, the Spiri app also has the mind tools. It has a graphical way of getting in touch with your thoughts and beliefs within the app. So it's more of for people that like graphics, that like, more of a visual. Because I hear many people say, well, I like the levels of mind diagram because I can see how I'm going in. And so that's what the Spiri app can offer in terms of going within the mind to look at thoughts and beliefs.
Wow. Well, I'd actually love to show you. And we have a video that we can play where we did a tour through the app. So I'd really love to show you some of what the Spiri app has to offer, because the imagery is just stunning, actually. Like we were, maybe you can share a little more about this, Laverne.
Sure.
But we were thinking maybe we would wait and do a simpler app, but this is just so stunning, actually, that I'm just really glad that it's out there and available now.
Yeah. What we found, because it was 2 years ago when the idea of Spiri, first came up with a team in Monterrey, Mexico, and they were thinking they were going to build a gaming app. And as it turned out, the direction that this app went in is more of like a super app. Like, if we had a personal spiritual assistant in our pocket, what would it have? So that was the basis of the beginnings of Spiri, and people will ask, well, why did it take 2 years, to build this app? And it's quite complex on the back end. It looks simple on the front end. It's quite complex on the back end. So we've had a team of developers that have been helping us in getting this app ready for the App Store for the last 2 years. So really, what we're going to show you now is just a really clean, simple app, but it packs a powerful punch, because there's a lot of stuff happening in the background of this app. But I would say for people that it's more for people that have been on their spiritual path for longer, because the content is quite deep.
Do you want to show us around?
Okay, so this is the app, the version of the app that's on my phone. So it's actually saying good morning to me. And then the first question that comes in is, how are you feeling? And, the Course says that, the one right use of judgment is, how are you feeling? So this is the first thing it's asking when you come into the app. And by the way, we only have it available in the Apple version, just so anyone that has an Android we're not planning to put one out in Android version, just in the iOS version. So once I do say, click on how are you feeling, I'm taken to a screen that just has all these different feelings that may come up. These are common feelings that people have just based on the interactions that they've had with SpiriBot. We kind of, we've tried to hone in on the main feelings that people seem to report when they're using Spiri. So here's an example: betrayed, and then Spiri's going to come back with some suggestions. In addition to that, it's also saying, would you like to try some mind tools? But we're going to go right into the content screen. So here is basically the underpinnings of Spiri, where the content is. And so on the first row, we have the videos, and the second row audios, and then the third row movie reviews. So based on my feeling that I reported of being betrayed, it's going to give me some suggestions of different content. And I would have to add here, with the videos, there are over 700 videos that are being sourced in this app. And all of these videos are tagged with the different emotions and themes that we offer to people who pay for our video. If you sign up for our ACIM online videos, you would be getting the same content. And the difference is, well, why wouldn't I just get them in the YouTube or Vimeo for free? And it's actually because the added benefit of them being in the app is that they're tagged specifically to emotions. So this tagging system is really such a great benefit to using this app, because you're getting precise content. And then your audios, and then the bottom is movie reviews. And what's beautiful about that, those of you who are familiar with our Movie Watcher's Guide to Enlightenment know that we have over 450 movie reviews that are available, in addition to movies with commentary if you sign up for Master Pops. But what's great about this is that you have access to 450 movie reviews on this app. And it's going to give you the exact movie review that you need based on how you're feeling. So that's really awesome feature. So I'm just going to move it forward a bit. And I'm selecting an audio now. And I get to actually listen to the audio right within the app. So that's a beautiful thing. And it's available not only right when I select it, but I also can bookmark it for later. So you can see on this that there's some little stars in the top right of the thumbnails. I can actually select videos, audios, and movie reviews that if I click on the Spiri icon on the top right corner of the app, it's going to actually bookmark them for me, and I can, watch them later. I can leave the app and come back, and whatever I bookmark is going to stay there for me when I am ready to play them or to read the reviews. So this is our content area, and what I wanted to take you into now is the movie section of the app. And on the bottom right of the app screen, you see that there's a navigation bar that I'm pressing on the movie reviews. And it's going to first take me to a screen that is suggesting movies from the MWGE site randomly. It's kind of fun to just see, what are some things that movies that MWGE offers. And so it's just a random selection of those. But if you want to actually dive deeper into the movies, we have a screen that allows you to access the 450 movie reviews and look at what the different themes are and, read the movie review so that you can decide whether or not you want to watch that movie. So I'm just selecting one here, Grand Canyon, and it's going to come up with the actual movie review along with the emotions and themes that are also covered in this movie. So this is where we encourage people to, read the review before they watch the movie so that they can pay attention to, what the movie's themes are. You can also bookmark for later here. Another portion of this app is events. And this is great because we have the Spirit TV shows that are part of the event so that you can just keep in tune with what's on the schedule for Spirit TV, as well as upcoming retreats and gatherings that are being hosted by Living Miracles. So this is a nice feature to have right on your phone, is an app with all the different shows and gatherings. And this one is just a sample of our Sunday shows. And then from there, the last but not least section of our app is the tools section. And I'll just take you right in there. And you're going to see that we have 3 different types of tools that are available for you to go within your mind. And the very first one, which I feel like could be like a daily place to go, is an altar. And this would be just a place where you can just put the prayer of your heart. It isn't, taking you into your mind or questioning thoughts and beliefs. It's more of, I want to put on the altar today whatever it is that I feel will support my mind. So it comes with a drop down, and if your intention for the day is I want a joyful day, you put that on there, and we can see what happens here, which is really cool, is that it goes on the altar and goes up into the light. And this altar, by the way, back 2 years ago, we went out and on Facebook and asked people, do you like altar A or altar B? And this happened to be the one that most people liked. So these are great graphics, and Peter Kirk, who is on our studio team, really played a big part in putting this app together and getting it ready for the store with these amazing graphics and stars in the background. This is another example of a mind tool that's available in the app. It's called Levels of Mind. And those of you who have been on our levelsofmind.org site know that there's another way of seeing this that's more of a bullseye, but we've put it together in a format of climbing up a mountain. So what we do is when we press on begin, it's going to take us to the bottom of the mountain, and it's going to ask us, what is it that our upset is? Like, what is it that we perceive to be going on? If we're not supremely happy and at peace, there's probably an upset under there. And that's where we start, is on the perceptual level. So it's like we can actually type in what it is that is going on in the mind, and where we seem to have an upset. I had one the other day. It was going to the dentist, so I just start right there from where I'm at. And then it's going to go up one level into the jungle, so to speak. That's the emotion level, and ask how I feel. If you're going through this app as well and you see a flashing icon on the top right, it's also saying, I have some helpful information for you if you really need some ideas or suggestions to understand, what's an emotion or what's a belief or what's a thought. So this is what the app also offers, is information to help you in filling out the mind tool. Another thing, too, I just want to add is this information that you're putting into this app is completely confidential. It doesn't get shared. It's, once you leave the app, the information disappears, so to speak. But, that's another thing just to keep in mind. I know some people, one of the things that makes them nervous about SpiritBot is that it's in Facebook Messenger. So the administrators of Facebook Messenger can access it, as well as, the 1 or 2 administrators that we have within Living Miracles. But that is something that with this app that isn't, this information is not shared with anybody. So this is the thought level. What is it that who do I think is to blame, and what am I afraid that's going to happen? So it's basically just taking you through the steps of the levels of mind And I'm just going to speed through this and go to the next level because I want to get to the top. And so it's asking me now is what belief do I have about going to the dentist? And what I got in touch with was that it's an unpleasant experience. And then the last thing is the desire. What did I want to have happen instead was to not have to go to the dentist. And then this is a nice feature here too, is that it will summarize what it is that we just said. And if we need to add something, we can add it here. So I added another emotion to my summary. So now it's just going to ask if I'm willing to offer up this belief and desire to the Holy Spirit in order to realign with the only goal that I truly want, to accept peace of mind. So I'm just going to pray on that. Do I want this? Do I want peace of mind more than this upset? And I said yes. And now it's just taking me into the light. We also have a levels, besides the levels of mind tool, we also have an instrument for peace mind tool. It's a different kind of scenario than going up hiking up a mountain, but it's just as cool as this one. And then at the end, it's just asking that, do I need more help or am I peaceful now? So this is the last screen. And then the one last portion of this app that I'd like to share with you is what we call the sidebar. And the sidebar is, if you swipe to the right, you're going to get some more stuff to actually utilize for your spiritual awakening. Not only your bookmarks, but there is a place there that you can access the Spirit Bot, as well as if you want to access our content on this app by theme, you can do a search on the sidebar and you'll get nearly 100 different themes that you can then look through and see if there's anything here that might be helpful. I've just selected family, so it's now going to give me content based on that particular theme. I just wanted to add too with the app, if you're using the app, that we really would love it if you love this app, to rate it in the App Store. It's very helpful. And if you have suggestions, it would be great if this or that were a feature in the app. Those are things that we could consider for future upgrades.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Laverne. Thank you so much. So yeah, I encourage everybody to go in here and explore it. It's kind of amazing because yesterday as I was praying on my show, I was getting ready to join with Laverne and I was just feeling myself get into it. Like, okay, really, what is it that I want to know? Because this really is for me, I guess. And so I was sitting there thinking about my questions. And I was like, well, I'll just go into the app and make sure that I've done all the features of everything. And as I went in there, I ended up having this huge pop. It's totally unexpected. I was like, oh, I'll just go through one of these levels of minds. And I was like, oh, this is on my mind. And boom, before I know it, I'm like, oh my God. It was so cool. So I just want to say that this app is really wonderful. And I have that epiphany coming to my mind. Like, what does this mean for my awakening if I can't use the excuse that I don't have help now? Like, it's really just coming down to a choice. Do I want to use what's available or not? So that feels pretty profound, actually. Yeah, thank you for that wonderful tour. Okay. And you kind of gave us a sneak peek with maybe some new features coming into the app. So there's two more things I wanted to share about briefly in the last few minutes we were here, and this is one of them. I'd love for you to share with us, Laverne. What's next for Spiri app? Oh
my God, it's amazing. It's like the Spirit showing us what it is that Spiri is going into, and it's just this continual expansion of the mind, seemingly. And if you haven't seen the movie Her, please see the movie Her, because this is the direction. The direction of Spiri is to have an assistant that can help you to stay connected with the spirit. That's what Spiri is all about. And what we're doing now with, it's starting with the Spiri bot, but it's expanding into the app, is for Spiri to be able to have more of a recognition of natural language, so that you could actually have a conversation in language, so to speak, with Spiri, and Spiri is going to be able to recognize, sort of random kinds of emotions or themes. It's going to be able to recognize them and to give you the exact content that you need. It's even getting more precise, basically. And we're utilizing some of the newest Google tools like Dialogflow, and we're even talking about a conference coming up in San Francisco in April, where we're just wanting to include the most cutting edge AI and machine learning tools into Spiri, because it's already cutting edge, but it's almost like we're just continuing to expand in that direction. So that another idea and another suggestion that has come from the users of Spiri is there a way you can alert me, to remind me to check in? How am I feeling? So that's another component of Spiri that is coming in, as a check-in feature. And we've been talking about like ways that we can keep people inspired to stay in touch with Spiri, like to get points, for example, and offering up like inspiring words about how important it is to pay attention to your mind and watch your thoughts. And it really truly is that you can do this from home. I mean, we have mighty companions and community that we join with, but there's no reason why this mind training can take place wherever you are, because Spiri is actually there to help you to do that. This is a integral part of our mind training in Living Miracles. Even those that are here that can join with people, I find it so much more helpful in joining with somebody if they have something coming up, if they've already done a Spiri session, because then we are like, okay, did you get in touch with that belief? And boy, that is everything once you've actually went in and questioned your thoughts.
Wow. Wow. Wow, it's just amazing. I love hearing about her, actually. I love hearing about this vision, because every time we talk about it, we get goosebumps. This is the way our joinings go. It's kind of amazing. We joined about the white buffalo, that deep, deep feeling that drives it all underneath, like that deep call of the heart that brings us to this practical tool that can really help us get underneath these beliefs so that we can actually join in this epic, is the word we've been using lately, this epic inspiration that just wants to carry us higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
So thank you, Laverne, so much for your sharing today.
You're welcome. I just have to say, like, I do feel like Spiri has been my white buffalo because I didn't ever think it was going to look like this. Yeah, it's so much more. And all I can see is that Spiri continues to expand in ways that we just can't even fathom. It's so much bigger.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. There's one last thing I want to share with you because I can't get it off my mind. This Spiri tool is intensely practical, as we've just seen. And there's something else coming up, our Undoing the Doer retreat, which I'm over the moon about. I can't stop talking about it because this is what I want. I am undoing the doer. It's our next online retreat coming up in January 4th through the 6th. And I'm myself making a commitment and broadcasting it live here with you so that you can hold me to it, by the way, to really be more attentive to where I can be giving over my busy doings to the spirit and having them retranslated so that my encounters are holy, my projects are joyful, you name it. Just this deep purification that goes from the doer to being done through and totally being undone after that. So I'm going to use Spiri through that as I discover things in my mind that need to be lifted up and out. And so I'm just really encouraging you to join me in this Undoing the Doer. Check out Spiri. These are just amazing tools that are going to revolutionize your awakening. So thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. See you next week on The Gift.
Well, thank you guys. And I just have to, shout out to Laverne. She has put her heart and soul into this project. It's just been so, so inspiring to watch her bring this, and her team bring this to fruition. And yes, it does work on the iPad. I used it this morning. So it's a truly, truly a beautiful thing. And using it was, it brought me to my knees a little bit because I used the bot and I liked the conversation. So it's, back and forth. And what came up for me was I was hanging some blinds at a friend's store, and I was getting angrier and angrier, and the F-bombs were flying out of my mouth. And I'm watching myself do this. I'm going, this is ridiculous. And I could hear Spirit saying, well, it doesn't have to be this way. But no, Jeff was going to fight through this thing. And so I did, and it wasn't a happy experience, but I joined with Spirit this morning, and what came up for me was I hate being wrong, but what I hate most is being seen to be done wrong. And it's a belief in my mind, and it's such an obvious thing, but it's not when I'm in the middle of this upset. And it really helped me. It just brought peace of mind this morning. It was like, okay, I need to change that belief that I could do something wrong. So it's just a great, great tool. And a lot of us use it here in community. It's cool. It really is. So have a look. It's definitely at the Apple Store. It's cool. It works. It's on Facebook. It's Spiri, the Spiri Facebook page as well. And I love the fact that I can jump back and forth from my iPad to the Spiri bot or to use the app. It's just beautifully put together. Anyway, Spiri, it's cool. And just following up on a couple of events that are coming up. The Sound of Silence starts on December 30th, officially on the 31st, but people are asked to be there on the 30th. And there's 2 seats left. There's 2 seats left. I thought I was going to get one of those seats. However, the logistics just aren't with me. It's not in the flow, but I would love to be there. And there's 2 seats left. It's a great place. You've got some beautiful facilitators. You've got Suzanne and Michael and Jackie. I can't think of a better way to start the new year than to be there. And I know it's about form, and it does, and we do a lot of things virtually, but I still think I'm a body, and this body wants to be there. And there's a number of people who are going to be there, and it's going to be a great time. And it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. You can literally fall into the silence in the canyon. It's, as I said, I would love to be there. It's not in the flow, and that's okay. I can accept that. Kristen also mentioned that coming up in our next retreat is the Awakening from the Dream, Undoing the Doer, Living a Life of True Inspiration. And this was put together for me. I am the biggest doer. I mean, here I am, and the doer gets caught, swearing at a screw that's not going into the ceiling properly for a set of blinds. So, and I love what she said. I'm going to be there. I want to be part of that retreat, and that starts now. It's not something to put off into the future. It really is to get involved in that at the moment, and work through that and start to really work with the undoing the doer. I thought I had, and clearly yesterday I realized I wasn't finished being done through, or being the doer. I want to be done through, and it wasn't happening yesterday. And it was me. I was getting in the way. So it's interesting. And just so you know, for the next Awakening from the Dream, the Undoing the Doer, early bird has actually been extended a couple of days. It's available now until December the 18th. So that's something to keep in mind. And the other thing too is this Moment Is Your Miracle is offering, you know, if you buy three or pre-order 3 or more books, you do get a free retreat. So you can certainly, you know, jump in there, pre-order some books, and you can actually be at that retreat for free. So that's kind of cool. And the other thing about this particular Undoing the Doer, this particular Awakening from the Dream retreat, is it's our 1-year anniversary of online retreats. This all started a whole year ago. It's amazing how time flies. So yeah, a couple of beautiful things coming up. And then coming up next, of course, is Anna and Ken with Divine Intervention, and that'll be happening in a few minutes. I'll catch my breath and see you in a few minutes. Bye for now.
Everyone has their say. Call. You can run, but you can't wearing this honey instead
Miracles should be involuntary. Wouldn't it be great to be such a habitual miracle extender that all you can do is extend miracles, and only constructive, helpful acts that would bless you and bless the entire universe would happen in an involuntary way, without your effort. What does this even mean? It just means you're so aligned with God and the Holy Spirit that you're just flowing through the day, and miracles are just emanating and radiating through you everywhere you seem to go, everyone you meet.
I'm just so grateful to be here. I've been through a number of these online retreats, and I have been just blown away with the intimacy and just how I feel everybody, you know. It's like there's physical bodies in this room, but it's like it's no different to being connected with all of you. It's just that really that connection, that minds really are joined, you know. So I'm just so grateful to be here, and thank you.
And I feel something is stirring in me so deep, and I'm ready for it. And I couldn't have expected this to come from an online retreat.
It's just absolutely amazing. Yesterday I started reading and already just felt, I don't know, like, it just felt as if God was speaking, like as if God wrote it, like as if there was no interference, there was no wall in between. It's just really, I'm very grateful, and I had the idea of maybe I could give like a free song from the album that really captures the essence of This Moment Is Your Miracle. I would be happy to do that so that people get like a free song with their book download or with their purchase or whatever. That would be nice.
We're back. Welcome. I got carried away with the music there, actually. I was just listening and following. It's lovely. Okay. Just waiting for our friends in Mexico to show up on the screen, which should be happening very shortly. Okay. They are ready. Take it away, Ken and Howard.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's good to see you all. So today we'd like to talk about releasing judgments through forgiveness. Almost forgot the forgiveness. The most important part.
Yeah, the most important part.
Yeah, and just thinking, I felt like I've been very judgmental on myself. Well, that's ongoing. That's part of the training, to let go of all of that. And it's just been quite, it like seems to be that I get into these loops of stuck in real judgment. Things are not right. I'm not right. Situation's wrong. I'm doing something wrong. Someone else is doing something wrong. And nothing seems to be going right, just purely because of the judgments in the mind. And we were just thinking about that as well, because of Christmas, there can be a lot of judgments to come up. So we're going to have an opportunity to look at that together. But as always, we'd like to start with a prayer. Would you like to start to read that?
So this is from lesson 243. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. I will be honest with myself today. I will not think that I already know what must remain beyond my present grasp. I will not think I understand the whole from bits of my perception, which are all that I can see. Today I recognize that this is so, and so I am relieved of judgments that I cannot make. Thus do I free myself and what I look upon, to be in peace as God created us. Father, today I leave creation free to be itself. I honor all its parts, in which I am included. We are one because each part contains your memory, and truth must shine in all of us as one.
Thank you for that. There's so many beautiful parts in that. That yeah, we can't see the whole picture, but yet our judgment, we think that we see the whole picture, and we know what's best in that.
Yeah, that's like the complete trap.
Yeah.
We're always thinking, that I am right about whatever is going on, and it's like we're only watching from
one
this
perspective.
It's just like these glasses, distorted glasses. And then of course we're gonna see everything that we don't like about ourselves projected outwards or something.
Yeah, completely. I was thinking about everyone, it's like Christmas, and it's like, do we have the turkey? Do we have the duck? Do we have carrots? Do we have cabbage? Do I invite so-and-so round? Should I go round there? Oh no, they always do that, so I don't like their behaviour and I judge them for that. And so it's like this time of year that there's all this beauty as well, and we love Christmas, but yet there's always this like undercurrent. Oh, there's been these grievances over the year, right? Are we going to talk about them? Are we not going to talk about them? Right, not going to judge, even though I'm going to judge inside. And so we thought about that for everybody to really be able to clear your mind as to if anything's going on around any situation, that we actually don't know the full picture.
And I just love that part that you found in the course. It talks exactly about that. We can't judge. That just seems like something so hard, because it's like we're just judging machines on everything. Oh yeah, I like that. I don't like that. That's nice. He's doing something wrong. That's stupid, or whatever. All the time. Or yeah, she's prettier than me. Or yeah, I'm not good in like all the time it's happening. And when I read this part, it was like, oh, like a relief, like, okay, I actually cannot judge.
Yeah.
And that feels a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'd like you to, if you do have anything practical in your mind, like something that you've got a judgment around that you want to look at, you're judging a situation, someone's wrong, you've been unfairly treated, you've been excluded, whatever you feel, if there's any judgment there in any scenario, just think about that situation now. And you feel that you've kind of worked it all out, and you're making a judgment that you're right. And if you haven't got any judgment there, that's okay too. You don't have to try and find anything. And let's see what Jesus has to say about that. And we're just going to go into the manual for teachers. How is judgment relinquished? The aim of our curriculum, unlike the goal of the world's learning, is the recognition that judgment in the usual sense is impossible. This is not an opinion, but a fact. In order to judge anything rightly, one would have to be fully aware of an inconceivably wide range of things, past, present, and to come. One would have to recognize in advance all the effects of his judgments on anyone and anything involved in them in any way. And one would have to be certain there is no distortion in his perception, so that his judgment would be wholly fair to everyone on whom it rests now and in the future. Who is in a position to do this? Question. Who, except in grandiose fantasies, would claim this for himself? Yeah, so if you're just thinking about your situation, and it's like, we can't see the whole bigger picture. And he's saying you can see the past, the future, the present. You can see the whole thing. Then you can judge it, and everybody's going to be fairly treated in that whole, because that's the right use of judgment. Is that correct?
Yeah, I feel like we're just like in this healing pot in the world, like just a healing pot, like everything comes up just for that.
Yeah, but we think that we're right when we're judging all the time. It seems so real. Of course, I'm right about the situation. I'm completely right. But yet, as he talks about, you haven't seen the whole picture, so how can you be right? But yet it feels so real, and you want to hold on to that. I want to hold on to that. And he just goes a little bit further. He says it is necessary for the teacher of God to realize not that he should not judge, but that he cannot. In giving up judgment, he is merely giving up what he did not have. He gives up an illusion, or better, he has an illusion of giving up. He has actually merely become more honest, recognizing that judgment was always impossible for him. He no longer attempts it. This is no sacrifice. On the contrary, he puts himself in a position where judgment through him rather than by him can occur. And this judgment is neither good nor bad. It is the only judgment there is, and it is only one. God's Son is guiltless, and sin does not exist. So any Stephen's brother. Thank God for that.
Like I just really love this part. Like, and in this judgment is neither good nor bad. It is the only judgment there is, and it is only one. And it's like there's only one judgment. God's Son is guiltless. and sin does not exist. So, innocence.
Yeah.
And that's it. Innocence, period. That's it.
So when you see that annoying family member that always gets on your nerves, you can use this. God's Son is guiltless and sin does not exist.
Mm.
And that is the only judgment that we can have. Isn't that wonderful? Over all the judgments that we're making all day long, thinking that we're actually making judgments.
Mm.
But in fact, we actually can't, because it's of the ego. It's not of the real mind.
Mm.
And the only real judgment, God's Son is guiltless and sin does not exist.
Mm.
So whatever you're seeing in your brother is completely and utterly not there.
Mm.
And you're just making it real in your own mind. It's a relief.
Yeah.
That we cannot judge.
Mm.
Yeah, thank God.
I just really love that. It's like I can feel like even in this relationship, like all the time, like I'm projecting and projecting and projecting, and it's just so wild. Like it's just like such huge opportunities to heal. Like it just feels like so much like another person is just like getting on your nerves in every way possible. Like everything that you never wanted to see, it's coming up. And I feel like that has been happening for me. And God, it's like, okay, now it's like where the rubber meets the road. It's like, okay, now it's time to practice forgiveness, like in that moment where it feels so hard. And I feel like this is very valuable for me right now. Like you found a lesson that talks exactly about that, because it's like in this forgiving my brother, like stop pushing, like, see, you're treating me in a way that I don't like. You're treating me, I'm being unfairly treated. It's like that's showing him, yeah, you are guilty, I am guilty. And it's just like no innocence whatsoever. That just gets forgotten instantaneously.
Mm.
Yeah. God, you're giving tons of opportunities.
Yeah, that's it. That's my job.
Yeah, but it's like we're just walking through it every time.
Mm.
And I think that's the value. Like that's the healing happening.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the important thing about having the purpose up front, though.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it could be easy to blame, but it's like, yeah, this is coming up for a reason to be healed.
Mm.
That's the only purpose that
you
we
know,
have.
we were listening to a talk last night, and what's his name? Thomas
Keating.
Yes. We were listening to this talk, and he was saying, yeah, sometimes you have like this beautiful moment of peace and joy and love, and it's like, okay, now it just feels like this dark thing is coming up. And it's like, and he was saying like, yeah, it's all right. Like this thing that you have hidden in the unconscious all this time is ready to be released, so that it can be replaced by peace, by love, by that happiness. It's like you have like this package in a box, and it's like, okay, take it out, and then that love can come in and like feel it in the most precious way. And that's uncomfortable a lot of the times. But it's like when we get to that point, like I'm at peace, where I'm just happy, it just feels like everything is worth it. And that's what I want to remember. Like, yeah, this is just something passing through and it's being replaced. It's just ready to be let go of. That's why it's coming up.
Yeah, I really.
That feels encouraging, actually.
Yeah, I really like what you said, that underneath that grievance, when we let that up, it's like the love's there. And if I just allow that in and just keep going down to find the love, to release that judgment completely, that is my only task, of that to come up so it can be let go of, so I can actually see my true nature. And so it's worthy of giving it that time. Often it feels like you want to push it away because it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But when it comes, it's actually a gift to show you that the love is underneath all of that.
Yeah.
And that it must pass through.
Yeah.
And then it feels like it's a good inquiry. It's a good use of time to investigate into that, so it can be plucked out of your mind to see the truth. Should we move into the other exercise?
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah. So we would like to share this with you, an exercise, if you feel comfortable.
Yeah, it's like we're really into this practicing.
Yeah, we get to
like
practice together.
Yeah, like if you feel like giving your all into this practice with us right now, like you're very, very welcome. Like we would just want to join in that.
So part of the practice is thinking of someone that you possibly have a grievance with. And if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes and go into that. And I'll read us through this lesson in the course.
Yeah.
Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Today we practice true forgiveness, that the time of joining be no more delayed. For we would meet with our reality in freedom and in peace. Our practicing becomes the footsteps lighting up the way for all our brothers who will follow us to the reality we share with them. That this may be accomplished, let us give a quarter of an hour twice today and spend it with the guide who understands the meaning of forgiveness and was sent to us to teach it. Let us ask of him, let me perceive forgiveness as it is.
Then choose one brother as he will direct, and catalog his sins as one by one they cross your mind. Be certain not to dwell on any of them, but realize that you are using his offenses, but to save the world from all ideas of sin. Briefly consider all the evil things you thought of him, and each time ask yourself, would I condemn myself for doing this? Would I condemn myself for doing this?
Let him be freed from all the thoughts you had of sin in him. And now you are prepared for freedom. If you have been practicing thus far in willingness and honesty, you will begin to sense a lifting up, a lightening of weight across your chest, a deep, certain feeling of relief. The time remaining should be given to experiencing the escape from all the heavy chains you sought to lay upon your brother, but were laid upon yourself. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Let me perceive forgiveness as it is. And when you're ready, taking your time, you can come back. Yeah, I always love this practicing together. I just feel so much release when we do it with everyone. No, we're just practicing this forgiveness together.
It's like the one mind.
Yeah. And that support, I feel that support from everyone together, like, okay, we're raising this up with one another. We don't have to hold on to these things.
Like we're walking together.
Yeah. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we only have 5 minutes left, and I don't feel like I've got many words left now.
That exercise was just like
I've let go of all judgments. That was the task.
Yeah.
This week, I found this really wonderful lesson, and I thought, wow, this is a real Christmas gift. That's what I thought. But this is the real gift. I found the real gift here.
Oh, is that the one that you showed me?
Yeah, I shared it with you.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'd love to share that with everyone. So you can sit back and relax and enjoy this. I thank my Father for his gifts to me. Today, in gratitude, we lift our hearts above despair and raise our thankful eyes, no longer looking downward to the dust. We sing the song of thankfulness today in honor of the self that God has willed to be our true identity in him. Today, we smile on everyone we see. We walked with lightened footsteps as we go to do what is appointed us to do. Thanks be to you who heard, for you become the messenger who brings his voice with you and lets it echo round and round the world. Receive the thanks of God today as you give thanks to him. For he would offer you thanks you give, since he receives your gifts in loving gratitude and gives them back 1,000 and 100,000 more than they were ever given. He will bless your gifts by sharing them with you. And so they grow in power and in strength until they fill the world with gladness and with gratitude. Receive his thanks and offer yours to him, and you will realize to whom you offer thanks and whom he gives thanks. You are thanking him. This holy half an hour given him will be returned to you in terms of years for every second. Power to save the world eons more quickly for your thanks to him. Receive his thanks, and you will understand how lovingly he holds you in his mind, how deep and limitless he cares for you, how perfect is his gratitude to you. Remember hourly to think of him and give him thanks for everything he gave his Son, that he might receive above the world, remembering his Father and his self.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and so
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken. And thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. This is the best bit. Yeah, have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. As I've said many times, anytime you want to divinely intervene, feel free. You just did, so thanks for that. What else do I have to share? Yes. Rethinking Sickness. It's a facilitated program that starts on January 7th and runs till February the 18th. I am totally into this retreat. I helped put together some stuff for the actual pieces on the doorway. I'm going to be working with Calico, I believe, helping with the Zoom rooms and stuff, because I truly think this is something of great importance to everybody. And it's about redefining and rethinking what is sickness. And as I was thinking about that, I thought I should see what David has to say. So bear with me. I've got a couple of quotes from him on what sickness really is. And so he says, when the definition of sickness is lifted right up to the mind, we cannot but acknowledge that all sickness is fragmented perception. All illness is mental illness, and health is inner peace. The healing is in seeing the world in a completely different way. And sometimes we need to be, hands need to be held, and that some facilitation is necessary. And that's what's being offered in this upcoming program that starts on January the 7th. David goes on to say that the mind selects all the bodily symptoms of sickness. It quickly forgets having done so. And then it looks for their cause outside in the world, as if the mind had not selected them. And we get caught out there. We are playing a pretend game about what sickness is and where it came from. We blame our diets or radiation. We're playing a game of being the victim of these outside forces. The ego tries hard to push this out of our awareness, and from time to time is very successful. And so this retreat will help us bring that back, bring our focus back out of the ego's domain and into the domain of the Holy Spirit, of Jesus, of God. God authored us, David goes on to say, God authored us as spirit. but instead we believe that we are the authors of ourselves, that we are children of our parents. We don't want to take responsibility. We want to see ourselves as doing our best in life in spite of what our parents forced us to do. We see ourselves as being at the mercy of external characters. And so this whole retreat is to bring us back into the focus, to bring us back to the peace that we'll get from realizing that this is our mind and we're responsible for that state of mind. So I think what's happened with the retreat, everybody thinks, well, I've got to have cancer or I've got to have some kind of sickness, you know, that's visible or I can feel. And that's not it at all. The sickness is there if we're not happy continuously on a regular basis. If we're not there, if that's not the feeling, then there is a sickness. And it doesn't have to manifest itself in the body. Well, it's in the mind most of the time. And so this is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to rethink that idea of what is sickness. So January 7th through until February the 18th, it is facilitated. There's going to be a group meeting every Monday, you know, so everybody can bring their stuff to the meeting and just have it released. It'll be like an expression session type of thing with whatever comes up for whoever's there in the room. So I can't say enough about this retreat. It's something that's new. It's something we haven't done before, and it's something that could be right up your alley. So keep that in mind as we move through this thing that we call life. So coming up next, it's time for a dose of humility, and I love this show. I love the name. I've certainly said that a number of times. So up next in a few minutes is Humbled with Ricki. See you back then. Bye for now.
Well, we're here because we wanted to share our inspiration. Something came in really unexpected.
Well, that's what it is. I just remember hearing something about strawberry for next year and I fobbed it off because for me, it's like I'm just in this step back phase. I've been very, very much in full function with this ministry for a long time, many years. And they're sort of releasing a lot of this function and I'm sort of stepping back into the mystic at the moment. That's what it felt like. And suddenly I started something coming in around strawberry 2019. I thought, oh, that's probably just the doer mode kicking in for me, actually. That's what I was thinking. And then you're talking all about this inspiration around Kurt Cobain. I think that was part of it.
I talked about Kurt Cobain.
Because he was so passionate about his very last concert.
Yeah, where the song where he screamed, literally screamed his heart out was Where Did You Sleep Last Night?
Right.
And I guess it touched my heart because it was so something about it that I really felt the spirit underneath that song, just really bleeding, bring your darkness to the light. And are you aware where your mind is? And if you're not, there's a sense like it's unacceptable anymore. Where did you sleep last night? It was like there's even intensity underneath it, and it's not a push, rather than out of I love you, bring this to me. Yeah. I know you're in pain. You don't want to keep holding on to that pain. And meanwhile, I'm here. It's like, not only did I feel spirit behind it, I felt Jesus precisely behind it. Yeah. And it touched my heart so deeply that I was in some kind of mystical experience for a couple of days, and then it just broke my heart open. It was very emotional for me. And the reason was that I saw that like music was simply the means for spirit to touch and to communicate with Kurt Cobain, and I felt that he felt that somewhere in his heart, because it was that song in particular, he wanted to, maybe he didn't consciously know, but it felt like he really wanted to express that for it to be known.
It really touched me too, so it was beautiful to see that quite some weeks ago, and I think that was probably part of the catalyst of all of this, this inspiration. Yeah, and for me it's like almost like a pushing away of this thing. I think something next year in 2019, August, we're talking about 2019. The dates, it's already starting to come in the month and everything, but It's like I don't want to plan anything for them, but it's not me planning it. It's like that's when it's inspiration. When I have no idea, I didn't want to organise anything. I don't want to try and do anything, and yet there's this flow. There's this inspiration that just comes in. That's like you're being swept up in a tidal wave almost. The tidal wave of love. It's like there's this forward momentum, if you like. This. I don't have to do anything myself. I'm not trying to do this. If anything, I'm trying to resist a bit. But it's not as if it's an active resistance, but it's like, okay, I'm just going to tuck my arms in here. We're just being swept along here, We've got these notes here, so we started writing down our notes. So this is the essence. Where it's all sort of stemmed from. It's amazing. You just have some scribbled notes, but it's like the inspiration around everything. And we started playing with awakening to the mystic, but that didn't quite hit. But we both got really sparked, and when we shared it with other people, awakening to love.
To love.
Oh, awakening to love. How does that feel? Isn't it just like it's awakening to love? It's like what it's all about, isn't it? This whole journey is about awakening to love. So that really touched us, and that really feels like the actual name of this retreat. So we're going to be calling it Awakening to Love, and if you like, the byline will be Enlightenment Retreat. So Awakening to Love, Enlightenment Retreat.
Yeah.
That tickles me anyway. And whoever I've shared it with seems to be going, whoa, this is sparkly.
Yeah, and because it was inspired by Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
And the purpose behind, like just the heart behind it. This is where it was obvious for us that music is still going to be a part of it, because music can be a beautiful means to touch the heart, to bring your heart, to pull you out, and to communicate, like a means of communication in a way.
Yeah, as do movies, isn't it? So it's like it's a mixture of the whole lot. It's the teachings, the music, and the movies, but it's not a focus on the music, if you like. It's an important part. Although there is a celebrity in mind, a very, very well-known celebrity who is a Course in Miracles student,
right?
That is very much in mind, and all sorts of signs and symbols are coming in, isn't it? So we're not going to drop a name just yet. We want to get a bit closer to this, maybe getting firmed up, but something feels very sparkly about this.
Yeah.
And whether that happens or not, we'll just, we're not going to make anything happen. That's what I'm inspired about, that none of this is like trying to make anything happen. There's no sort of reciprocity, if you like, that, since we've been doing it this year, that someone needs to handle it next year. I don't mind if it happens or not.
That's not how
but it's
it
like
happens.
it's just being like some sort of being swept up in, isn't it? Like we're just feeling this movement that seems to be happening to this thing.
There was a sense like that this is going to be a collaboration.
Sure.
And like an event came in as the effect of this of inspiration to have this collaboration, and the purpose for a collaboration is to once again, it's like a full release, and just that how far will we go, and to be completely and fully non-compromisingly happy, and what are we like? It's like risking to release everything, and even if and even to know what else is there to release. Yeah. Right. And
like we like to call it authentic awakening.
And it's very authentic. And the key to it, it's not just awakening; it's authentic awakening. Yeah. And that's only something that can be discovered and wanted. All you can do is want that and desire that and know that it's possible, and the rest, it has to be shown and discovered, and it's unknown, and yet it's the adventure, and there's no outcome to it at all, rather than there's a gentle backdrop of this event that is obviously given to experience this, and to really to find, like, to accept it. It really is about, in the end, accepting atonement. And so
August next year, 2019.
Early August.
To mid-August. We haven't got an exact date. It's either the first or second weekend of August, I think, at this stage. So for about 3 and 4 days.
3 to 4 days.
Yeah, that's what it sort of feels like at the moment. Maybe 3 full days. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
authentic
awakening to love, enlightenment retreat.
Yeah, awakening to love. Yeah. So that's it. That's
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, my unmute button wasn't working. Okay, we're back. And if you're looking for a little dose of humility to be injected into your life, now is a good time. Take it away. Take it away.
Thank you.
Your name. I'm so sorry.
It's Ricki. Thank you, Jeff. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. You guys are awesome. Well, it's been another week of healing. And I feel like the show was given to me just for that. So it's pretty beautiful. This past week's theme, or one of them, was guilt. And there was a series of events that happened this week for my unconscious guilt to be exposed. And I found out later that of the school, because it's one mind, right? So, yeah, I had a series of events. One of them basically was that the way I look was threatened. And it took me way back to the belief that I believe if I don't look a certain way, then I won't be loved. And I think I was just raised in a family where I guess, you know, we're all put in our circumstances so that we can heal whatever we've come to heal. So I don't want to concentrate on the story, but, you know, I just, maybe I can say a little bit. I was just overheard my dad say I was the ugly duckling once, and I just had this beautiful sister. And, you know, I was just to get in touch with this healing. But as I got older, I got into spirituality and read The Secret, and I made myself different. I changed my mind, and all of a sudden people thought I was pretty. But, you know, I always saw the same person in the mirror, and I just wanted to be loved. And so I thought that if I looked a certain way, I would be loved, because that's what I learned growing up. So, yeah, I did something to try to look better, and it didn't work out. And I felt a terror so deep, like the separation from God, like heartbreak, like it was no different. It was no different than any other terror I had ever felt. So what I got to, I went in, I hid for 2 days in my room praying and just going inside with Jesus and asking, what is this fear that I won't be loved if I don't look a certain way? And yeah, it was, my God, it was intense. And yeah, when I came out of my room, I immediately went to an expression session with the school and found out that, you know, childhood trauma and abuse had been exposed. When one started it, everyone else felt safe to expose their own childhood traumas. And it was just really profound how it's all one mind, and we're all healing basically the same thing a lot of the time. I feel honored right now because I'm so grateful that I'm given the opportunity to look at my unconscious guilt, because it is unconscious. And we've heard all of our lives that we can't know God unless we know ourselves as guiltless. And yet we don't even, normally we're like, I don't feel guilty, I feel fine. It's underneath there, hidden. And I asked for the ultimate healing before I left La Casa, before I started this new chapter in my life. I asked for this. And let me tell you, every week I am just hitting up against a lot. And yet my purpose is out front. I want healing more than I want to be comfortable. And I have to keep making that choice again and again. I want to accept what the Holy Spirit has given me to heal. And yet I do want to be open to whatever is given for me to feel joyful. But at the same time, I don't know my way out, right? So I'm just patiently there with the feelings and being willing to embrace them actually completely and continually hand them over to Spirit, because that's my only job. I mean, what a miracle that something happened, that I could allow my unconscious guilt to come up. And during this 2 days, there was just attack in my mind upon all those that seemingly loved me. You know, my parents, my partners. You know, it was like, you don't love me. You never did. And so I had to sit with that. Attack was in the mind, and, you know, just knowing for a fact that it's not true, that it's projection, and asking the Spirit to heal my mind. So with the purpose out front, we often want to, we ask for healing, and then we often want to run away, right? Because it's too intense. But the minute you hit that point in your journey where you're willing to stay and face it, there's just a gratitude that comes up, because somewhere deep inside, you know that this is actually heading on its way out. It's on, I mean, not kind of on its way out, like it's leaving. God's Son is guiltless and innocent. And we've been promised that God only wants our happiness. So I'm excited, and that's different for me, but I do want to read this section of the course. I have a couple to read to you today, but what I just shared with you, I found this in the course, and it says, "Fail not in your function of loving in a loveless place, made out of darkness and deceit. For thus are darkness and deceit undone." I couldn't help thinking of that song. We found love in a hopeless place. We found love in a hopeless place. So that's what we're doing. We're going to find love in a hopeless place. Fail not yourself, but instead offer to God and you his blameless Son. Before you make any decisions for yourself, remember that you have decided against your function in heaven. And then consider carefully whether you want to make decisions here. So we have made a decision every morning, right, to decide with the Holy Spirit. You decide for God, for me. So before you make any decisions by yourself, make sure you know that the Holy Spirit has agreed with you, not the ego. So your function here is only to decide against deciding what you want in recognition that you do not know, which is the biggest one, right? Because we want to be right. So you have to come to a place where you've actually surrendered to that. Like, I don't know. I want you to show me the way. It changes everything there. How then can you decide what you should do? Leave all decisions to the one who speaks for God and for your function as he knows it. So will he teach you to remove the awful burden you have laid upon yourself by not loving the Son of God and by trying to teach him guilt instead of love. So you can see what you're doing to yourself when you recognize how you're treating your brother. And I've got some examples of this. Because you're not going to know yourself as guiltless and innocent until you see your brother that way first. That's the only way. So that's our practice, right? Give up this frantic and insane attempt that cheats you of the joy of living with your God and Father, and of waking gladly to his love and holiness that join together as the truth in you, making you one with him. When you have learned how to decide with God, all decisions become as easy and as right as breathing. That's his promise to us. There is no effort, and you will be led as gently as if you were being carried down a quiet path in summer. I can't tell you how many times I remember David just repeating this over and over again. It's like Jesus telling us over and over again, this is what you are promised, so go for it. The Holy Spirit will not delay in answering your every question what to do. He knows, and he will tell you, and then do it for you. So that's why I was saying last week when I was in my chair, just coming back into that presence and inviting the Holy Spirit in. Every 5 minutes, he will tell you your way out. He will tell you what to do. And I promise you, when you're in that much terror, that's when you will be able to be that vigilant for God. You won't have another choice. Our pain is our gift. Our pain is our gift. It forces us to be so present and to be shown. It's the only way we're going to be shown. I mean, that's how it's been for me. I have a huge amount of resistance. So, but it's all crumbling. He knows, and he will tell you and then do it for you. You got to love that. You don't even have to do it. You who are tired will find this is more restful than sleep, which I don't get a lot of lately. And I'm sure when you're going through these deep healings, I'm up at, if I even try to go to bed at 8:30, I'm up at 11. It doesn't matter. You don't need sleep. Jesus has you up for a reason. Get up, light a candle, give him your mind and your heart. You have no need for sleeping, only waking and healing. And if you're up every night, rejoice. You're healing this entire dream. Yeah, and I read something in the course the other day where I was just like, whoa, this is a dream. Just, you don't even have to. Yeah, let me just finish. I'm very excited. Let's see. Okay, unless you are guiltless, you cannot know God. When I read that, I was like, okay, thank you for letting the guilt come up to be seen. Unless you are guiltless, you cannot know God, whose will is that you know him. Therefore, you must be guiltless. Yet if you do not accept the necessary conditions for knowing him, you have denied him and do not recognize him, though he is all around you. He cannot be known without his Son, whose guiltlessness is the condition for knowing him. Accepting his Son as guilty is denial of the Father so complete that knowledge is swept away from recognition in the very mind where God himself has placed it. If you would but listen and learn how impossible this is, do not endow him with attributes you understand. You made him not, and anything you understand is not of him. Okay, I don't think I'm going to have time to read all this. I've got other things. It just says, but it's very, very important. The guiltless and the guilty are totally incapable of understanding one another. Each perceives the other like himself, making both unable to communicate because each sees the other unlike the way he sees himself. Okay, so our task is to unleash the guilt that's hidden in the unconscious, to see it, and to hand it over to the Holy Spirit. We can't skip this step. It's very, very important. So I did see Carolina up on the screen earlier, and I want to tell you just a little story about a student in the school. Carolina who is just 100% devoted to awakening and healing her mind. And when she first came with us, to spend time with us, it was so hard for her. She had lived a life of depression and suicidal thoughts, and it was so hard for her to embrace her function. And she was just struggling with everything and not fully taking it on. And then, with much, much healing and perseverance, there she is. She found a way to fully embrace her function and just be relieved of all suicidal thoughts. Like, she really found a joy that she had never found by embracing her functions. And I had talked to you about it on the show another time. Can you wave, Carolina? I don't know if y'all can even show who she is, but it would be just helpful for her to just be seen. And she's a precious, precious soul, and she just has been giving it 100% since she's been with us about 8 or 9 months ago. There she is. Hi, Carolina. And she was just falling apart, asking for a one-on-one. I think it was yesterday. Is that correct, Carolina? I think it is. Not if it is. Yep. And we had been working together for a while about another mighty companion who had come, and she was just, this other brother for her was bringing up so much anger and so much annoyance, and just to the point where it was intolerable. So, you don't have to do what you're not ready to do. So Holy Spirit was very gentle. I took her out of the same room. I took her out of the functions with this person. And still she comes in just about to break down because she was just so frustrated just at the small amounts of time she had to spend with this brother. And just wanted to tell this brother the way they should be acting and healing and what was best for them. And I reminded her of a little girl named Carolina that had come to us and was the exact same way in a lot of ways. And I said, how you look upon your brother is how you will look upon yourself. Would you want compassion? Do you have that in you? And you're literally only seeing yourself. You can't stand it because you're only seeing what's in your mind. Your brother's not in front of you. And, we just went through it for a while. And finally, when the resistance kind of started to loosen, she got in touch with the fact that she wanted her assignments back with her brother. She wanted to heal this, that she actually could see it was an opportunity. It was like, I'm like, look, this is Jesus Christ appearing before you with a gift saying, do you want to heal your mind? Or do you want to not be uncomfortable right now? That's what I was talking about. You put your purpose out front. If your purpose and the one thing you want more than anything else is to heal your mind, then you say yes to this contraction and this annoyance and this heartbreak and this fear and this, I don't want this. That's okay. But, after you do it enough times, you're going to be willing to say yes every time. And then at the end of our conversation, Carolina was like, look, I want all the functions back. I want to take this on 100%. I want it completely because, the only way to see the innocence and guiltlessness and love in yourself is to see it in your brother first, to see the Christ in your brother. And that's why community is such a speed up. It's beautiful if you want to take a hermitage and just be with your course book and pray. And that is a step. But, eventually you have to put the book down. It's the practical application. And I can tell you right now, if you put out your prayer, I want the healing of my mind, bring me everything I need for that. If your daughter or your friend or your lover or your mother is in front of you, that is your way out. And even better if they're pissing you off. I promise you, the ones who are here to give you gentle love are great. Thank you, Jesus, for those. But the ones who piss you off are your saviors. And you will see an ancient hate turn to love. And it's the only way. So what you'll know when you're done with your hermitage, when you've read the book back and forth and you're feeling like movement and it's not exercising anymore, right? So you'll know, and then Spirit will lead you out where you can extend. It could be you start with the relation, a community of two, just you and your partner. Honey, that'll bring up enough stuff to heal the world. That's what I was telling Carolina. Be grateful this isn't a lover. You're okay. You can go, you don't have to be that close. So it's very gentle. Just take these opportunities as they are given to you, because they're everything. So speaking of that a little more, chapter 22, Salvation and the Holy Relationship says, take pity on yourself, so long enslaved. Rejoice whom God hath joined, have come together, and need no longer look on sin apart. So listen to this. No two can look on sin together, for they could never see in it the same place and time. Sin is strictly individual perception, seen in the other, yet believed by each to be within himself. And each one seems to make a different error, and one the other cannot understand. Brother, it is the same, made by the same, and forgiven for its maker in the same way. The holiness of your relationship forgives you and your brother, undoing the effects of what you both believed and saw. And with their going is the need for sin gone with them. Okay, so I got to read more, sorry. For an unholy relationship is based on differences where each one thinks the other has what he has not. They come together, each to complete himself and rob the other. They stay until they think that there is nothing left to steal, and then move on. And so they wander through a world of strangers, unlike themselves, living with their bodies, perhaps, under a common roof that shelters neither. In the same room, and yet a world apart. Okay, so this is what we don't want, right? And I got to see that so clearly in my last relationship, when I could see how, no matter how much love was given, I had a feeling of being unloved, of being abandoned, of being not in the mind and forgotten. And when, these relationships end is where the real healing begins, because you get to really look at your mind and what you believe. And I asked to see everything I believed. And in this, I was journaling last night, and I was writing to God. And I said, and I didn't want to write these words because I didn't want to know what I believed. I wrote, God, you don't love me. And he said, you don't love you. And I said, God, I feel like you've abandoned me. And he said, you abandoned you. And I said, but it feels like you've forgotten me. And he said, you forgot about you. You wanted to take someone else's. You wanted to be someone else. And I live inside of you. And you will only find me by loving yourself. That's where I live. And so, thank you, Jesus, for allowing the guilt to come up. I started to write a song that I did. It just came out in a song. And then I was like, shit, trying to finish it this morning. I was like, there's just no way. But I'm going home for Christmas next week, so I won't be here. So maybe I'll try to pre-record the show and finish that song for you guys while I'm gone. I don't know how it'll look, but yeah, I'm just so grateful for the show. Thank you. Because it's given me an opportunity to really go deep into my mind every single week and share with you guys what I'm healing. And I realized that I was starting everything anew on January 23rd of this year. And so I had like a month left for all this deep healing. So I put out a prayer. I want to heal everything. I want to see everything I believe before I go. Now, God, man, it's like, it's intense, but I want it. And like, why delay? I mean, it's painful to delay. And I'm in a cocoon, a womb of gentleness for this healing. And so I'm so very grateful to God just for this opportunity to see what I believe and to have it healed. Thank you. I guess I'll just say that I'll be going on tour on January 23rd. And just to put it out there, like what we have already is a 4-day retreat in Edmonton, Canada with Sarah Humert's group, March 21st to March 24th. And we also have a 4-day retreat in Portugal with Ellen and Jan, March 28th through March 31st. And then before that, in the US, when I will land on the 23rd, I'm in discussions right now for a possible 3-day retreat with Susan Bartels in Cincinnati. And then because I don't know if or when that's going to happen, I'm waiting to plan Florida, but the ones that I have in mind and that have contacted me for possible retreats and gatherings are Jacksonville, Florida with J.R. Remington, St. Augustine with Sharon Kramer, Delray, Florida with Kyle Nordwall and Joe Tedesco. And Florida will come more clear once I find out about Cincinnati, but that's the upcoming tour. And yeah, I don't know if there'll be a show while I'm on tour, but we'll see. I'm very open because all I want is the healing, because I put my purpose out front. So I'm not really going on a tour or getting married, right? These are the symbols that I've been given, and I'm super excited. But yeah, even in the moments that I can feel super grateful for that, I just want to embrace that too, because there's so much that's come up to be healed, and I don't want to push that away either. So thank you so much for joining me this week on Humbled, and I will see you guys next week, I think. I love you. Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful. And Ricki, I think you dropped a new coin phrase without realizing it. You know, Ricki looks after the school at La Casa, and instead of having a school room, she actually has a school womb. Isn't that beautiful? I think that's great. Okay, what have I got to share? This moment is your miracle. Wow. Thank you so much for your support. It's just overwhelming. It's just beautiful. We've had another edition. I mean, we just keep giving things away just to make the ordering easier and easier. It's a Christmas gift. Netta Boyen, a beautiful friend from Holland, and a beautiful singer, has gifted a free song. So now when you go into to pre-order, you get a gift of this beautiful song that she's put together. And just a few minutes ago, or a little while ago, you saw the little video that we've put together where she actually offered that gift. So, you know, the gifts just keep on rolling. And again, as I've said many times, and probably will continue to, it's not about selling books. It's about spreading the word. And the words in this book, I know they're symbols of symbols, but they're beautiful symbols of the teachings of A Course in Miracles, brought in from 30 years of David's talks. And they just keep getting stronger and stronger. And it's put together in such a beautiful, beautiful way. So take a look at that. It's on the David Hoffmeister page. Carolina will post the link. And for those of you that are so moved, we're just going to put up a list of ways that you can help spread the word. We've got 6 ways to do that. Carolina will post it. I know it's 6 of them, so it's going to be quite a big list. But it's just, you know, pick 1 or 2 of them that touches you and help us spread the word. So that's going to be up on in the chat very shortly. So thank you for that. And yeah, and this moment is your miracle. Just an outstanding, outstanding book. I'm still reading it, and I'm still getting blown away by how it brings in the ease of understanding a course and how we can bring it and make it part of our lives. Not just the intellectual, but actually live A Course in Miracles. Okay, that's all I have to share at the moment. Coming up next is the last step with Jeffrey. See you in a few minutes. Thanks. Bye for now.
We're really happy to be with you here today. We're going to talk about David Hoffmeister's new book, which has been our own inspiration for more than 2 years now. It's become like a practical pathway to peace of mind.
Yeah, we're sharing that really this is a culmination of over 30 years of practical application of A Course in Miracles, and in relationship, in communication, taking all the principles of A Course in Miracles and actually exploring the parables of mostly David Hoffmeister's life, where he simply shares aspects of his life or moments in his life when there were transformative opportunities where his willingness to join with the Holy Spirit in moving through blocks to experiencing the love that was, deep, that's deep in our hearts, in all of our hearts. And so it's very inspiring, highly practical. I had a question earlier from one of the participants in the practicing the exercises in this book, one who's studying the book, and he's said that how much is practical application? How much of the book is practical application? And right off the bat, 20% of the book is practical application, and yet the whole book is infused with practical application because you're with David going through the parables of his life. Just very present moment application with. And another great question was, who is this for? Who is this book for? And it's like, well, literally it's for everybody who is willing to look at their mind, because the whole book explains the map of the mind and uses that diagram, which came directly from Jesus to David, in a picture form. And the map of the mind is used as a framework for the whole book. How do you go from, there's 18 chapters, how do you go from all these concepts like fear, judgment, knowledge, guilt, special relationship, how do you take these themes and go right down into the present moment? And this book addresses that on a very practical level. And it does involve a whole lot of willingness. I think when there's reading the book, I think you realize where some willingness is needed, and I think that was one of the profound experiences for me. Is there was a certain level of disillusionment in reading the book many, many times over as we're going through the editing process, that okay, where is my willingness lacking? And then there's an opportunity to work with the Holy Spirit in that and practice. So it's been, I think, a speed up.
Yeah, it's been like,
yeah,
because like you said, David has gone through all this, and so his first-hand experience, practical tools, and then we had to go through them. We had to go through those tools and practical, teachings to be able to put this book together And it's not just, we didn't really do it to put a book together. We did it for our own healing, and it's been huge. And I feel the theme of collaboration came to my mind because the collaboration is so deep. And it started with David's pure desire for God, and all of this came out of it, and we tune into it. And so the Spirit guided us to put together this practical book. And so I would say that we contemplated the teachings to be able to put it into this book. We lived it to be able to put it into this book. And so it turned out that it needed to be metaphysical in the beginning. So we have a very comprehensive chapter in the beginning that is all about the metaphysics. Why do we experience separation? Why do we find ourselves in a world where we are unhappy? Why do we find ourselves in depression, in relationships that don't work? Or, the darkness. And so the why is addressed. And it's very, it's very simply described, I would say. It's easy to understand. If you find A Course in Miracles too difficult, too big book, it's a very big book, and then This Moment Is Your Miracle will actually be very, very easy way to take it in and digest these teachings. And the importance of the metaphysics is in the beginning, because like David always says, and we have it in the book, that the spiritual path is about 1% principle and 99% practice. But the principle has to be true. And that's why we love this, because it is true and it is a fast track, and we have tried it out for ourselves. And it's not true in a form sense, like it's not like a method or another spiritual thing. It's actually pointing to the truth in every way, which leads to forgiveness. And that's so the whole book goes through the metaphysics into practical application more and more and more. And it explains how we built up fear and guilt and all those things in the beginning as a defense. And then it goes through relationships and how we can work with our minds until in the end it goes to the final forgiveness. The last chapter in the book is about forgiveness, which is what we need to fully embrace in every moment. If we embrace forgiveness in every moment, that's how we come to peace of mind. And the book explains the how. So that is a short version of what this book does, I would say.
It's a book that is not interested in making your life better in terms of a career, in terms of, necessarily improving your relationships, but your relationship will improve by the way you look at your relationship, by the way you look at your own judgments. And it's non-compromising in terms of what is necessary to be free from the conflicts in your mind, to escape from fear. The subtitle is Spiritual Tools to Transcend Fear and Experience the Power of the Present Moment.
Yeah, very, very, very practical. Very practical. Because we all want to transcend the fear, right? I mean, that's every moment. If we're in touch with fear, because fear is underneath every kind of disease, every kind of not feeling comfortable and relaxed and happy, or feeling confused or feeling in the wrong place, it's fear behind it. So we do need to get in touch with the fear, and we do want to transcend the fear so that we can experience the power of the present moment. Fear is the only block, really, to the power of the present moment, the power of your mind. So it's hugely practical. So if you want to get this book and read a little bit every morning, I will assure you that you're gonna have lots of improvements in your day-to-day life, in your relationships, and in your work, or wherever you find yourself. You will find these tools to find true peace and lasting peace. And I love that, because that's how it was for myself, that I needed to find the true peace. And actually I tried a lot of spiritual practices, self-improvement, lots of different things, and it felt like self-improvement. I didn't realize until I met David Hoffmeister that I can do something that transcends the whole thing. I can do something that transcends the doubt in my mind completely. I don't have to improve Jenny. I only have to see what's false in my mind, see the blocks to love, to come to my true identity. And that's the core of this book and this teaching.
Welcome back, everyone. Coming up next, of course, is Jeffrey in the last step. But before that happens, Just a technical note. Jason's show is coming up directly after Jeffrey's show. And if you're watching on YouTube Live, we won't be rebroadcasting the show on YouTube. That is Jason's show on YouTube. So you'll have to come into the Zoom room, and Carolina will put the link into the chat. So everything's cool right now for Jeffrey's show, but coming up after for Jason's show, you'll have to come into the Zoom room, which is fun, and watch the show from there. Just wanted to let you know about that. Okay, enough talking. Now over to Jeffrey. Take it away, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jeff. Looks so shiny there in Peru. The glue from Peru holding it together. Thank you. Yeah, welcome to the last step. Frank is joining me from Zurich. He's bouncing around the world again, but he's back in his apartment in Zurich. Yeah, and today I just wanted to share a bit where I've been at, and yeah, have Frank share his experiences. Yeah, we had this Birth of Holiness online retreat, and it was quite amazing. We got some great reflections of how deeply it went, and I started thinking about this. I just put out a prayer recently to the community wide, and it was to show me there's no loss. And it was as a result of watching this retreat and some of the stuff I've been looking at in my mind. And this idea of holiness, I remember in 12 steps, they tell you, do not let spiritual terms deter you. And there was something about the word holiness that always, like, I just didn't like it. It was like, your holiness, or there was something with it that I just didn't like. But when I actually started to have an experience of what holiness was, that it's a state of mind and not something else, it completely retranslated it for me. And so this idea that, I used to live in the addictions and everything, really it was just living in this world of lack, these lack thoughts, and, not having this idea that everything is provided. And so this prayer of show me there's no loss has been going with me. And I had a few things that I wanted to read to kind of set it up. And one of the things is from many forms, one correction. It could be many forms of lack, one correction. And it says in here, there is but one mistake, the whole idea that loss is possible. This is just continually being presented to me, that there's a possibility of loss. This one mistake in any form has one correction. There is no loss. To think there is a mistake. So I wanted to share this thought that came to me the other day, my Christmas miracle. And it was funny, I wanted to start sharing about this. Me and Frank have been talking about expect miracles. After my last online morning show, I had talked about this holy encounter. I want to look forward to this holy encounter today with this guy, Mikkel, who I hadn't seen in 2 weeks. And then I walked out of the studio and I got a prompt to go for a walk. I went for a walk and ran into Mikkel at the local Chevron. He was just there. I walked in the middle of the store. I'm like, it's a Christmas miracle, Mikkel. Like, I hadn't seen him for 2 weeks. We've been waiting for him. He doesn't even live in this town. And it was like, it's this amazing thing. So, but the other part I wanted to share was this thought came to me. So I was going down to Salt Lake City the other day and leaving right around lunchtime. And I walked through the kitchen and Jess was preparing lunch, and it was sweet potatoes, and sweet potatoes are my favorite. And I saw them and I said, oh, and she's like, what? I'm like, oh, I'm going to miss lunch today. I'm like, and then she said, oh, you really like sweet potatoes or something. And then the next thing was this rational. I was like, oh, I used to eat sweet potatoes every day. And then I caught myself. I'm like, look at this. Look where my mind goes with this idea, the missing out, and in that moment, it was like, okay, let me let all this go and show me that this is not the truth, that there is any possibility of me missing out or any lack. And so I let it go. And then literally a day or two later, Jess went to this place, which they provide food for churches and different things, and you can go and kind of get stuff. And this was a day or two later that she comes back with, hey, Nicholas, cue the sweets, with more sweet potatoes than I've ever seen in one place in my life. And I was like, as soon as I saw them, I was like blown away. I was like, oh, sweet potatoes. And I told everyone, like, this is the answer to my prayer. And, this is happening all the time. It's just a matter of whether I'm seeing it. So Jesus was being very playful and showing me, listen, you don't have to worry about the sweet potatoes. You can stay focused on your path. But it was like even other things. As soon as I saw that, I realized how much in my own mind that it was like, and then I remembered my sponsor, Big Book Bill, would give me a sweet potato pie for Christmas. And then as soon as I said it, Jess is like, oh, I'm inspired to make sweet potato. I'm like, now I get a sweet potato pie for Christmas. I was like literally being shown that there is no loss. And it's like, I need these miracles to remind me that there isn't. And it's like, yeah, JC Central hooking it up with some sweet potatoes. So I really wanted to share that with you guys. And then like this idea of on the path. So I wanted to read this other little paragraph, and it's from chapter 29, The Coming of the Guest. Why does an easy path, doesn't seem so easy all the time, but why does an easy path, so clearly marked it is impossible to lose the way, seem thorny, rough, and far too difficult for you to follow? Is it not because you see it as the road to hell, instead of looking on it as a simple way, without a sacrifice or any loss, to find yourself in heaven and in God, until you realize you give up nothing, until you understand there is no loss? You will have some regrets about the way you have chosen, and you will not see the many gains your choices offered you. Yet though you do not see them, they are there. This is this idea that the miracles are all around. I am being provided for, to make that a constant prayer. And it's funny when I read this line now, this part of until you understand there's no loss. I had this experience. It was about a year ago when I went back home, or maybe 2 years ago now. Time seems to pass so quickly. And I went to a 12-step meeting, and it was a Came to Believe meeting on Friday afternoons. And it used to be one of my favorite spots to go because it was right near the Whole Foods, and it's just a beautiful room that we had the meeting in. And I just liked that idea. Came to believe in the 12 steps is came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. And the insanity is the belief that there's loss. So I just need to be restored to this wholeness of mind. And I remember I went home, and it was one of the meetings I went to, and one of my old sponsors was there, and he asked me to go out to Whole Foods after, which I never refused. And so we were sitting there with him and another guy, and when he was trying to explain to his friend my path, he was like, yeah, he's been, doing this. And when he actually said the words, he's given up so much, I remember being there, like actually realizing that I haven't given up anything. I was like, and I didn't say it to him at the time, and it might have been intuitively that I didn't think he'd understand, or maybe I wanted him to think that I gave up a lot of stuff. I can't speak to that in this moment, but I remember the feeling like, no, I'm not giving up anything, an old job or whatever it was that I had seemed to let go of in the world. It just wasn't the truth for me. And when I read that, it really reminds me of it. And then the last thing before we get Frank to share some of his stuff is I wanted to read this one line, which is from The Characteristics of God's Teachers and the Development of Trust. And it's amazing how often I'll be praying or anything, and when I'm thinking of a certain topic, always something from this section comes to me. It's like over and over, it's back to this section. So in this section, he's talking about, a period between the period of sorting out and the period of relinquishment. Sometimes we have a period of overlap, and it says the teacher of God feels called upon to sacrifice his own best interests on behalf of truth. He has not yet realized how wholly impossible such a demand would be. He can learn this only as he actually does give up the valueless. Through this, he learns that where he anticipated grief, he finds a happy lightheartedness instead. Where he thought something was asked of him, he finds a gift bestowed on him. Yeah, so I love that part, this reminder of, and so often I have that happen to me, that where this anticipated situation or grief would come to me, and it's never the case. It's like letting go of that thought. So I just really wanted to start it off with those sections to get the conversation started. And I know Frank has had a few experiences lately that he's had where he thought his whole house was going to burn down. And so How we doing there,
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah, you know, when you just read that, I can really resonates that the teacher of God thinks that he has to give up something. You know, and I guess it's good to hear that, you know, we probably all do that, and that awakening is I mean, for me, the idea that awakening is associated with sacrifice, you know, and I'm learning that it's not like that. And, you know, I have some very, I mean, I have incredible experiences of that. And we were just mentioning, and we talked about it in a previous show, but, you know, the whole of my whole mountain was burning in my ranch, and some of the horses were left there. And I was, you know, I was in Mallorca with Lisa watching it on the computer as the map, you know, they had posted a map, the fire department, and, you know, the red was coming in and said, okay, that's it, you know, it was taken. And the whole, and I completely let go of it, you know, and the whole mountain burnt. And people went up there and they said the whole mountain is burnt. It's like a moon landscape. And on top, there's a green little oasis, and it's your ranch. And it didn't burn. And none of the the horses that stayed there were saved. Not even a chicken died in it. You know, it was unbelievable. And it was an inferno. It was all over the news. And we were right in the midst of it, you know. And when we were in Holland, you know, David was talking about it, and he said, you know, this is not because God says, oh, I like Frank, you know, and I'm going to save his ranch, but it was, you know, that letting go and this gentleness of spirit saying, you know, there is no loss. But what happens is now the situation is that I do have to move away from there, but I had been thinking about it before, and now it's, you know, okay, all your stuff is still there, but now it's time to move on, you know, because you can't go back there. And so it's very gentle. And before that, there was the story with the storm that hit, you know, and my boat was the only one that survived the storm because I had tightened the chain before, and all the other boats were on the rocks, you know. And why did I tighten the chain? You know, I just acted on we talked about it, and I acted on, oh, let's just call the diver, you know. So all these things, you know, and so now we're with the Mallorca story. We had found a place that I really thought was great, and we already had talked about it, and everybody knew about it, and, you know, we talked about it at the retreats, and it didn't happen, you know. And David said, you know, that place is out. There's way too many problems, and so we went to see another place. So I went back with Lisa, and we started watching, looking for other places, and there was one of them. And I thought I kind of liked this one, but not so much. But, you know, I put it on the list. And then the people were being difficult for showing it. And they said, you know, we already have it sold. We don't want to waste time. And my pride was saying, okay, screw you. Then, you know, I'm not, you know, we're not going. So we ended up there anyway. And it was the place, you know, Lisa and I said, this is it. And the person that I thought was such a pain in the butt was the nicest. You know, she was, actually, I thought it was going to be an old woman. She was like this 35-year-old horse person, you know, who reminded me a lot of my daughter. You know, she had the same kind of, you know, halfway dressed in horse, you know, they always like with riding pants but they wear slippers and, you know, in between. And so I could see the whole vibe. And then I told her what I did with the horses, and she was so into it because I do this, you know, thing with you know, the training. And she said, I want a natural, I've been dreaming my whole life for a natural horseman trainer. And I said, you know, I learned this for 25 years with Bug Brannaman, you know, that we have the movie on the movie watcher guide. And so she said, oh, I want you to have the house. And then in the meantime, we have David is in Mexico, and we have him on you know, on Skype, and we show him, you know, and everybody was, and Lisa was excited. Oh, this is the place. And the girl was jumping behind us. Yeah, you're going to get it. And then she says, but I have to ask my parents because it was a family thing and it was very Mallorquin, you know, it's family. And they were very rural type people, you know, who it's sort of not at all from our world. So they take us to the mother. I'm trying to make this short, but it's an amazing story. So we go over there. This woman, you know, with her apron, she sits us down, makes sausages that she made herself and stuff. And then she asks me, what is it that you do? So I explain it to her in Spanish. And she looks at Kina, her daughter, and said, you know, that reminds me of, what was his name? David Hoffmeister. And Lisa and I, we scream, say, what? How do you know him? And so we called David and we said, David, do you recognize this house? He said, yes, this is where I gave my retreat 10 years ago. I mean, what are the chances, you know? So, you know, you know, I always ask, make it obvious. And so the thing, what came in now is that, you know, I was always thinking when I joined the community, you know, living miracles, life is going to get really boring because everybody sits on the computer. They talk about the community all day. And I really am not into it at all, you know, and how boring. So even the houses, this is a nice house, but what am I going to do there all day? So then the girl asks me to you know, I think that the elders are going to come. They're going to be in their rooms, you know, I'm going to want to go out for lunch. They're not going to want to go. It's like, you know, I had this whole thing. And what am I going to do for Christmas? I have to go to Zurich. And so I thought I was going to be alone for Christmas. Now David is coming back to Mallorca. I'm going to spend Christmas with David, you know, David and Lisa. But the other thing is that then the girl said, come to my barn, because she runs a barn. She's actually a professional. And then I said to Lisa, I want to go, you know, I want to go train horses with her. And Lisa said, I've never seen you that sparked up, you know, and that happy. And Lisa came with us and she said, you know what? I've never seen you like this. You were so focused and you're doing there exactly what I'm doing with you, because your mind is always wandering. But when you were there, you were honing in the horses, you were honing in the girls that were watching. And I was, you know, it's like, I'm totally into it. It's my joy. And she's never seen me this joyous. So really what I'm trying to say, I thought I'd give up the horses and sit, you know, on a computer, people on a computer all day, you know. And it was like when I came to see your house in Mexico and you said, in this chair, I did a lot of writing. I said, oh my God, I'm going to have to sit in this chair all day, you know, now. And then we did, and we write the big book or something. And then, you know, we have this show and it's so much fun to do the show. And, you know, it's never, there hasn't been any loss at all is the story. And now it's just
Frank, before you go on, I want to show this picture so we don't lose it.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a picture of Frank with the horses when he went down.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, it was amazing.
Oh yeah, it's got these little orbs all over the place.
I've seen these pictures in the past, certain ones where these orbs show up. I'm like, Frank, you're surrounded by angels. It's the most beautiful picture, just seeing him in his element. And like you said, you know, it's always individualized. Where we perceive grief or we think that we're going to have to do something. It was the same for me. I was like, I'm going to have to do this or do that. And then I never knew what I actually was going to do. And now I build a studio and all this stuff that's provided for me to show me exactly what you're saying. There's no loss. But something else that you said really stuck out to me when you saw this quinoa or Kina?
Kina
was the other thing. That she reminded you of something. That's another part that actually comes back to me so often, is the belief that I'm going to lose these relationships. And that's something I just was sharing recently in this prayer was, you know, even with this the relationships I have with my brother and family, and, you know, stepping further out and maybe even making my residency out here in Utah and seeing that it'd be letting go of a part of my mind, that there's a safety in it. And then I realized that I actually see these people. I see my brother recently. Greg is going down to Mexico, and I've been seeing my brother and him so much lately. It's like some of his expressions, and it's amazing. And I always picture Greg as he's got such patience, and I always picture my brother as the opposite with me, of course, because I was very hard to deal with for a couple of decades. But when I get to see that in others, and like even with Susanna, I literally see some of my best friends. I see Bigger B, my buddy Bigger B, One Love, certain expressions she makes and everything. I feel like they're still here. I don't feel like I've lost any of those connections. Even if you saw the show that I had the time with Kristen, where you know, she reminded me, or I reminded her of her brother. And it's like, these ones come back to us, and there's never an experience that I'm letting go of anyone. You know, I do have to let it go in my mind, and then it comes back like this experience that it's hard to explain, like until you feel that wholeness of mind and let go of the idea that I do that one mistake, until I correct that mistake over and over. You even had it with the show, you said. You're like, you were expecting the grief with the show and the loss, like, oh, you're having Kirsten on and these ones, and I'm not going to be on the show. And because you were traveling. And then of course, each time it's the opposite of what we think. It's like JC Central's like, no, look, that's not the case. That's not the case with the boat, with the house, with this, with the sweet potatoes, with all of it. It's just like this pouring. You feel that song. I feel it pouring down. And it's like, we need these miracles to remind us. And that's why we share them, is so that we can keep them in our awareness, so that we can continue and not think that there will be loss each time that, you know, now I'm going to spend Christmas alone. Then you said, oh, Lisa and David are here. And now you're having like the most amazing opportunity for Christmas, probably with the same people as well. So
yeah. And I'm flying in for Christmas. And then on the 23rd, I'm doing a workshop at the horse place. So it's, you know, it's just, woo, you know, exactly not what I, but you know, there is, since I am in this, it's like almost like a vortex, that there are things that are seeming to disappear, you know, and that's the scary part. And I think that's where it ties into that, what you read, that people then feel, oh my God, my world is being, you know, pulled out from under me. And then you realize, you know, once you're open to seeing your miracles, you realize that not at all, it's being actually enriched. But, you know, I still have the grief of, you know, having let go of Emma. And so I feel like that has been removed from me. And so, you know, no, but I just have to remember these stories, and it was good. You know, it started with the boat, and you kept saying, you know, remember the story of the boat. And I share these stories, you know, in the 12 steps, to tell people, you know, expect these miracles, because the prayer is, let me see them. And they are there every day. And after a while, now I'm getting used to it, but there's these little things. I think of someone and then they call, or I see them and all this stuff. You know, in the beginning I went, wow. And now I see, okay, it's a daily miracle occurrence, you know. And the little miracles appear every day, you know, just in people that you meet and that call you at the right moment. But it's the big ones that are good, you know, to say, you know, just remember that you're perfectly safe. And I think this was the big miracle for me, was, you know, like Spirit saying, yes, it seems like your world is shaking, but you are safe. And here's the proof, you know. Yeah, I'm just showing you that you're safe.
Yeah, there's another paragraph here, which I wasn't going to read, but I remember it now, and it's from that same chapter, the coming, or chapter 29, which is the awakening and the coming of the guest. And when you were reading that, or when you were saying that, I was thinking of the same thing. And it says, your guest has come. You asked him and he came. You did not hear him enter, for you did not wholly welcome him. And yet his gifts came with him. He has laid them at your feet and asks you now that you will look on them and take them for your own. He needs your help in giving them to all who would walk apart, believing they are separate and alone. They will be healed when you accept your gifts, because your guest will welcome everyone whose feet have touched the holy ground whereon you stand and where his gifts for them are laid. It like brings us back to this acceptance of it is all here, and it's only this letting go that is all we talk about in the 12 steps. And even in this path, it's like the continuous surrender over and over. And someone in the community sent me a little video of Russell Brand, and he's just celebrating, I think, 13 or 16, or I forget how many years. And it was just him doing a little YouTube or a YouTube live, and just sharing his gratitude for the path and those who have walked before him, and just saying how, you know, where he was and where he is now, and recognizing the gifts of those people. And that's really what our show's about, you know, that we can share the steps we've taken, the ones that have gone before us, and we can actually, share that with everyone. And so, I'm always grateful when you share about these stories, because I know sometimes it's not easy. You know, we're on a lot of calls that, you know, each time an idol falls, we will weep each time an idol falls. And we certainly have made idols of a lot of things in our lives. But then we do come to this place where, oh my God, you say it falls away. It's that part where in the course where it's like a toy that we don't use anymore. It's like there's just we don't find any value in it. It's like it literally falls away from our awareness. Like, oh, I don't think about that anymore. It's the same way in 12 steps with alcohol and drugs. People are like, a sponsor will know it first. They'll be like, hey, you're doing so good, this and this. And like, oh, I haven't thought about a drug or a drink in so long. And this tends to happen with the same thing. You know, you let go of seemingly horses or this, and then they're brought back into your awareness. And now you're doing a workshop, you know, from right near Christmas, when you're going to be having, some time with David. And it's like, wow, these are the things that we'd never expect, you know, these things that we think we're letting go of, but we're really not. And then we have these symbols showing back up like, no, it's all good. Here's 3 boxes of sweet potatoes and a sweet potato pie. You know, nothing, you're not losing anything, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, and the gratitude is important, because I have to admit, you know, I start taking things for granted really quick. You know, it's like, whoa, the miracle. And then after 2 days, you know. So, and this is why I think one of the things of our show is also, you know, that we have to expose all this stuff, you know. And that's what we do, you know, yes, I'm really grateful, but I can tell you tomorrow, I can wake up and say, hey, so what? You know, do you know what I mean? And so, and this is, and once, you know, I can, you know, I'm ready for the healing. You know, it's something Ricki said before, you know, do you want to really confront it, or do you just want to feel comfortable? You know, that really resonated with me when she said that, because that is really what we need to do, is to look at the fear in the face, you know, and then let it go. And I think the letting go is the hardest part, you know, because in that moment of letting go, there's an enormous amount of fear. It's like, whoa, no, you know, this crazy idea that if my ego lets go, you know, that's completely insane, that things are going to get out of control. And then, you know, I see all these miracles, and the miracles are only there because I let go, because I allow the miracle to happen. And before that, I was so used to controlling everything that I couldn't, maybe the miracle was even there, but I couldn't see it, you know, and now I can see it. So when we pray for seeing the miracle, it is very powerful, you know.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Let's join in that prayer with everyone that, let's see those miracles. And as you were talking again, this lesson 76 is, I'm under no laws but God's. And there's one line in there. It says, you will be listening to the one who says there is no loss under the laws of God. And it's like each time these thoughts return to us of it's going to be bad or there's going to be sacrifice, it's like we have each other and that constant guest, our companion. So let's be a host to that, and let's expect miracles and raise our awareness so that we can see them throughout this Christmas miracle season. And we're about out of time, Frank, so maybe you can...
Already?
I think so,
like we just started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see you in another week for another show.
And at the end of the show, I'll do the meditation.
Yes, and come back
on
and
this
join.
show in a week. Yeah. Oh, in a week I'll be in Mallorca. So we have to see how the internet is at the.
Okay. We'll
No,
see.
actually, I'm going to do my workshop. I'm going to do my workshop
On Sunday?
Yeah, it's on Sunday, the 23rd.
Maybe we'll just zoom you in with the horses. We'll just get a feed.
Yeah.
We can see you.
Put David on the camera.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Love you, Frank.
I love those guys. It's beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay, before I forget, if you're watching us on YouTube Live, next up is From the Bottom Up with Jason. Please switch to the Zoom room. We're not going to be showing it on YouTube. There's a couple of films clips that Jason would like to show, and that won't work well on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube Live, please switch over. Carolina will type into the chat the Zoom room to come and join us in. We'll see you there. And what do I have to share? Must be a couple more things that are going to happen. And while I was, as I'm showing or talking about these events and happenings and so on, please do remember that all of this information is available on our website at livingmiraclecenter.org/events. And also anything to do with Spiri TV or the shows is on spiri.ai. So we've got these two beautiful portals so that you can stay in touch with us. Let's see what we've got. Yeah, in May. Now we're getting a little bit out into the future, but it's always good to have these things in mind. There's a Miracle Network conference in Solihull in England, and that's from May 17th to the 19th. And Francis Zhu will be there. And I love this the topic. The theme for the conference is A New Generation Speaks. So that's something definitely to mark on your calendars. And if you happen to be in England, you can join with Francis in Solihull, which I think I mentioned before. It just keeps coming up. It's 40 minutes from where I was born. Interesting. I don't know what it means, but there you are. And then coming up in August 2nd to 6th, is the Awakening to Love Retreat. And that's going to be in Utah, of course, at the monastery. And there's special pricing available still through January 31st. So mark that on your calendars. And if you've got a tickle and you're going to head that way, take advantage of this special pricing available until January the 31st. Okay, I think I'm up to date with all of the events and stuff. So I'll say goodbye for a few minutes and join again with Jason from the Bottom Up in about 12 minutes. See you there.
Everyone has the same call. You can run, but you can't hide. We're in this journey, and stand beyond
In this video,